And we are live. Welcome to Olivia's Stories, ladies and gentlemen. Story number 1. I was married to this guy, or rather this jerk as I like to call him now. His name was Luke. I loved him a lot until one day. He kicked me out of his life and replaced me with his secretary. All I did was be a little friendly with one of his friends. He did not like that I was throwing myself at other men, as he put it. I mean, that was the most ridiculous allegation he could have put on me. My husband had been the scariest thing that ever happened to me, and would not want anyone else to go through the shit I went through. I had trusted Luke with my deepest fears and vulnerabilities, hoping he would understand and support me. However, his reaction to a simple interaction with his friend made me question the depth of our relationship. It was disheartening to realize that he couldn't see beyond his own insecurities and trust issues. I am writing this post hiding from him in the bathroom as he is outside waiting for me to finish my business. I am scared of the consequences if he finds out about this. I am sending out this message to all of you to help me get out of this situation. I would trade anything for a simple and normal life away from him. I need suggestions on how I can get myself out of this situation. I can see myself going into a phase of depression, and I am losing my confidence. I am writing this post in the hope that someone out there might be able to help me in some way and motivate me to get out of this situation. But to be honest, I feel like it's getting more and more difficult as the days go by. Let me go back to the start and tell you where it all started from. My name is Angela, and I am 31 years old. I have been married to Luke for the past 10 years. He is also 31 years old. We got married when we were in our final year of college. At that time, Luke meant the world to me. He was the college football captain, and everyone idolized him. He had a big, bustling personality and was a college stud. As a result, all the girls of our college used to swoon over him and wanted to be his girlfriend. What helped me capture Luke's heart was that I was very attractive, and the best part was that he had eyes only for me. Even when the other girls tried talking to him, he would just keep looking at me from a distance. One day, as I was heading home after college, Luke came over to me and asked me out. I was slightly taken aback by his boldness, but at the same time I was overwhelmed that he actually came over and talked to me. I had always been smitten by him, but never had the courage to go and talk to him. I immediately said yes, as this was every girl's dream in college to be Luke's girlfriend. Our date led to many dates, and soon we were officially known as a couple in the entire college. Luke was an alpha in every sense of the word. He made sure that no other guy looked at me or talked to me. He made it very clear that I was taken and no other guy was to be seen anywhere near me. What can I say? I loved him being so possessive and so involved in my life that it never occurred to me that this was in reality nothing but controlling behavior. I was so blind in love with him that everything he did looked romantic. Looking back, I realized that Luke's possessiveness and need for control were signs of an unhealthy relationship. It wasn't until later that I understood the importance of maintaining individuality and healthy boundaries in a partnership. After we finished college, Luke joined his father's business and proposed to me. It was just 6 months since we had been dating, but since I was already head over heels in love with him, I immediately said yes. We got married in less than a month. Things were pretty good at the beginning. I loved him being overprotective about me. He always accompanied me everywhere I went, be it shopping, meeting friends, or even to get a coffee. I adored the fact that he wanted to spend every single minute of his time with me. I found it very cute and attractive. I believed this is what true love looked like. I was too young to know that it was a toxic and controlling behavior. As time went on, I started to realize that his constant presence was suffocating. I began to feel trapped and unable to make decisions for myself. It took me a while to understand that true love should be based on trust and mutual respect, rather than possessiveness and control. I decided to talk to Luke about his behavior and get my individuality back. Before I got a chance to do that, his father got really sick. Luke was already too occupied by taking care of his father that I couldn't get myself to bring up this topic. His father passed away after 1 year of our marriage, and things got a little difficult for us financially. All of Luke's clients started disappearing after his father's death. I suggested that I could help with the finances by getting a job. This would in turn reduce the financial burden which Luke was carrying solely on his shoulders. He was against it at first, but as we were going downhill and things were getting really bad for us, he finally agreed to it. I started working at a cafe as a barista. My job was to be warm and friendly with customers while attending them so that they would visit again. One day, when I came home, I saw Luke sitting on the couch fuming with anger. He told me that he saw me smiling and chatting with a customer and asked me if that was the reason I wanted to work. I always knew that he had been very protective about me, but this was beyond limits. I told him that he was overreacting. I was doing my job. He laughed as if it was a joke and then asked me to quit. We were already in a hole financially. I tried to reason with him, but he told me that he could find other ways of making money. So there was no need for me to go out of the house with a job as an excuse. He insisted that I stay at home and focus on taking care of the household responsibilities. He told me that my beauty was just for him to take pleasure from, and no other man was allowed to do that. I explained to him that my job was for our financial stability and not for me to display my beauty. I might have gotten the job because I looked attractive, but I still had to do my work to keep my job. He never understood the point I was making and asked me to either quit or leave the house. With not much of a choice, I decided to quit my job and be a dutiful wife. This, I believe, was the biggest mistake I made. I should have left when I had the opportunity. It would have saved me from everything else I had to go through for the rest of the years with Luke. Our financial issues had caused a lot of stress, which led Luke to lose his hair early and develop a potbelly due to lots of drinking. He had turned from a hot and handsome hunk to average-looking middle-class man in his 30s. Whenever we went out, everyone stared at us and thought how such an average-looking man could get such a good-looking woman as his wife. This made him lose a lot of confidence, and he started acting even more possessive than he already was. My home had become my prison. I was allowed to go out only on occasions which worked in Luke's favor. Apart from that, I was to sit at home and do nothing else. I had become his slave who was to stay at home, take care of things, satisfy his desires, and only do things that made him happy. Luke's insecurity and possessiveness had taken a toll on our relationship. The once vibrant and adventurous love we shared had been suffocated by his controlling behavior. I was so scared of his anger that I never once went against his will. He was the only one that I had to support me, so I never even dared to question his actions. I yearned for freedom and independence, longing to break free from the confines of my own home. A few years passed, and Luke started doing well in his business. He was losing his charm as the good-looking and handsome young man that he was, so he came up with a plan. He would use me to lure new customers to sign up for his business. I would accompany him to his business parties where he would show me off as an art piece that he had collected. I was his trophy wife, and he knew the way men looked at me. He would use it to his advantage. The only time I could use my attractiveness was for him to get more deals and more clients. He was a hypocrite, to be exact. He used my beauty but never let me go out by myself. He had this constant fear that I might run away and never come back. He forced me to take care of my body in a way that could benefit him. I felt like I was also a part of his business, a showpiece that he could display to earn more money. I felt trapped and depressed, but there was no way he would understand the way I felt. I longed for independence and freedom, but his possessiveness only grew stronger with time. It became clear that my feelings and well-being were secondary to his selfish needs. I yearned for a life where my worth was not defined solely by my appearance, but breaking free from his control seemed impossible. One day, there was a huge party that Luke had organized to celebrate the merger of his friend's company with his company. It would be a grand event where everyone that had been associated with both the companies would be invited. As usual, Luke had instructed me to dress my best to charm everyone around him. He picked out everything for me. My dress, makeup, jewelry, and shoes. Everything was finalized by him. I didn't even try bothering to argue with him after all these years, as I knew it would be futile. I knew that there was no point in banging my head against a wall. I had been thinking of ways to set myself free from Luke's control. I was getting ready when suddenly I thought of something that I could do that might help me achieve it. I knew that this was the only way I could get a little relief from the prison I was forced to stay in. We both entered the party with the facade of a couple deeply in love. By this point, I had mastered the art of faking to be deeply in love with Luke. The only good thing about this marriage was that Luke never cheated on me. Though he was overpossessive and tortured me by treating me like a robot, he never once looked at any other woman. I guess that was the only reason I put up with everything he made me go through for all these years. As we walked in, I realized that maybe he was with me for the same reason. I had never even once crossed the line with all these men he made me meet. I was very clear in my approach that I was happily married and did not like anyone getting clingy or a little too personal. Today, I decided to let go of my guard and see how Luke reacts to it. I was anyway going to be in hell after going home. Why not loosen up a little at least during the party? As I kept meeting people, I started to think who I should choose out of all these men that will enrage Luke the most. I finally settled on his friend Liam, who was the second most important person at this party. He would be a perfect fit as he could not leave until the party ended. As the night went on, I noticed Liam becoming more and more intrigued by my presence. His eyes lingered on me, and I could sense his curiosity growing. I couldn't help but feel a mischievous thrill, knowing that Luke would surely be provoked by this unexpected connection forming between his friend and me. I walked towards Liam and congratulated him for the merger. He thanked me and was about to leave when I asked him how he was feeling about working with his longtime friend Luke. He started talking about it, and I tried to look if I could find Luke somewhere in the crowd. I finally spotted Luke talking to the servers about the arrangements, probably. I looked at Liam and started laughing and asking him to share a few more of their childhood stories. Liam was very happy to talk about his friendship with Luke that went way back to when they were in school. I could see Luke walking towards us, and I laughed very loudly just to make sure that Luke saw all this. Luke walked towards us and pulled me away, which definitely raised a few eyebrows from the people that were around us. Liam looked shocked at Luke's behavior. Luke smiled and told me that he wanted to steal me for a minute to talk about something. I knew that I had riled up Luke, and all this drama with Liam had definitely rubbed Luke the wrong way. As we walked away, I could sense the tension between us. Luke's face was furious, and I braced myself for the conversation that was about to unfold. Luke composed himself and told me that it was time for me to leave the party, and said that he could manage hosting the party on his own from here on. I insisted that I could help him by staying till the end. He started walking with me towards the main door, called the driver, and asked him to take me home. I went to my room and changed into comfortable clothes. I was very happy to have accomplished this little task of getting Luke angry. What happened next was something that I wasn't expecting at all. After the party was over, he came to our room and slapped me hard. He went on hitting me until I begged him to stop. I had no idea what I did so wrong that he started behaving this way. He told me that he saw everything that I was doing and told me that I was trying to sleep with his friend. I knew he was overpossessive, but this was even beyond his level. I mean, how he could call flirting as trying to sleep with his friend. Liam was cute and all, but the only reason I flirted with him was because Luke would be threatened by this. I never expected Luke's reaction to be so violent. It was clear that his jealousy had reached a dangerous point, and I couldn't understand why he would jump to such an extreme conclusion. My harmless flirting was merely a way to provoke him, and not an attempt to sleep with anyone. He had become an animal and would not even listen to anything that I had to say. After he beat me up, he asked me to sleep on the floor as he did not want such filth on his bed. He snatched away my phone and told me that he could take it away as he had bought it for me, and he had every right to take it back. I felt disgusted by his behavior. I was at least happy that I would not be forced to have sex with him tonight. That was the only good thing that came out of this. I took my pillow and a comforter and made my way towards the couch. I was so scared to even talk to him looking at his violent behavior. I made myself comfortable on the couch and lied down. Luke changed into his boxers and was lying on his bed. There was a knock on the door and he motioned me to open it. I opened the door and saw a young girl from the party still wearing her dress at the door. I looked puzzled and looked towards Luke, but he screamed for the girl to get in. I stood with the door open, waiting for her to complete her conversation with Luke and leave. To my surprise, Luke told her to sit beside him on the bed and started praising her beauty. He complimented that she had wonderful lips and went ahead and kissed them. My jaw dropped at what I was seeing and I screamed at Luke. He told me I could stand there holding the door the entire night or sleep. It was my choice. He told me that I might be attractive to get everyone's attention, but he had money and could easily have any woman he wanted without any problem. He even told me that he was not very happy with me sexually, but was with me because I was always loyal and never crossed my limits. But now that I have shown my true colors to him, he would not feel guilty about anything he would be doing going forward. I just stood there unable to understand what was happening. I was hoping all of this to be a really bad dream, and once I woke up, everything would be the same. After 15 seconds, I realized that all this was actually real and was happening because of a small mistake that I made by flirting with Liam. I closed the door and lied down on the couch. I could hear the moaning sounds of the girl, which was making it very difficult for me to even fall asleep. I knew that there was no point in asking Luke to stop doing all this and forgive me. I decided to talk to him in the morning when his anger had suppressed and explain to him why I did all of that. No, it took me a lot of tossing and turning and putting a pillow over my head to save myself from all the noise that was coming from the bed to finally fall asleep. When I got up the next morning, there was no one on the bed and no sign of the girl anywhere. I thought to myself, probably when Luke realized that I fell asleep, he must have asked the girl to leave, and there was nothing more than a few kisses that were exchanged between them. At this point, I don't even know why I so badly wanted Liam to be just with me and to be loyal to me even after all the toxic things that he had done to me. I brushed and then went downstairs to talk to Luke before he went to work. I saw Luke sitting at the table eating his breakfast, and I felt relieved that there was no one around him. I went and sat on a chair beside him, and just as I was about to hold his hand, I saw the girl from last night in inners, walking with a coffee pot towards Luke. She poured coffee by sitting on his lap right in front of my eyes. Luke behaved as if I was invisible and started kissing her. I was very angry and could not stop myself from asking Luke what the hell was happening. He told me that he was having breakfast and I was the one interrupting him. I asked him what the girl was doing on his lap. He laughed and told me that he had some discomfort in his leg and she was helping relieve his pain. I told him that it was not funny and I wasn't interested in any lame jokes early in the morning. He told me in all seriousness that these were the consequences for my actions from last night. If I would have behaved and obeyed him just like always, then he would have been my loyal and loving husband. Did he just call himself loving? Seriously? I wondered if my mission to get Luke riled up had backfired against me. I thought this would make him leave me, but instead he turned the tables on me and started cheating on me right in front of my eyes now. I felt a mix of anger and confusion as I watched him passionately kissing another woman. It was as if my attempt to provoke a reaction had only fueled his desire for revenge. At that moment, I realized the extent of his betrayal and questioned whether our marriage could ever be salvaged. In the next few days, I saw this girl behaving as if she was Luke's wife in front of my eyes, but I did not utter even a single word. He started treating me like a slave. I was not allowed to talk to anyone, go anywhere alone, or even decide what to wear. He started controlling all of my life decisions and would always accompany me wherever I went. He would not even let me go to the restroom alone. I was feeling so suffocated that at times, I felt it would be better if I just kill myself than to go through with this torture. I felt trapped and helpless, as if I had lost all autonomy over my own life. The constant surveillance and restriction took a toll on my mental well-being, leaving me desperate for an escape from this suffocating existence. The girl, by the way, was hired by Luke to assist him with his household chores. Now, this was something I had never heard of and knew that it was all bullshit. She was just here to cozy up with Luke and make me go crazy. I decided not to react to anything that they did to make me angry. No response was the best defense, and that would eventually stop Luke from doing all this nonsense. It worked for the most part. I would be lying if I said that it did not affect me at all. I would go in the bathroom and run the water and scream. I did not want Luke to know that what he was doing was actually affecting me. But deep down, I couldn't help but feel hurt every time Luke and she played their little games. Despite my efforts to remain composed, their actions still managed to chip away at my emotional armor. So, in those private moments of vulnerability, I allowed myself to release the frustration and pain that had built up inside me. I started feeling that my life was not as bad before all of this started. I was trapped, but at least I had mental peace. I decided to start writing a journal to keep myself sane. When Luke saw me busy and drowning myself in something that drew my attention away from the chaos around me, he threw my journal away. He told me that I was only allowed to look at them when they were around me. I didn't even have the freedom to watch TV or do anything else apart from what Luke wanted me to do. Luke's controlling behavior was suffocating, leaving me feeling trapped and exhausted. It became clear that he wanted to exert complete control over my thoughts and actions, further isolating me from the outside world. I made up my mind that I would tell my story to the world just to oppose Luke. Every time I went to the bathroom, I would write a little of this post and make sure Luke never got a hint of it. It has been 2 weeks since I started writing this post, and believe me, this is the only thing that is keeping me sane. I am hopeful that when this goes out, someone out there would help me get out of this situation. As I continue to write, I feel a sense of empowerment and liberation, knowing that my words hold the potential to expose Luke's control over me. Each bathroom visit becomes a clandestine act of defiance, fueling my determination to seek help and escape from this oppressive situation. With every passing day, my hope grows stronger that my story will reach someone who can offer assistance and bring an end to my isolation. Update 1. Thank you all of you for your wishes and prayers that had helped me come out of the prison I was in. Once I posted this message, I received so many responses from so many people who gave me a few suggestions and ideas about how I could free myself from my husband's fists. I ran away and hid myself at one of my friend's house. There was no way he would suspect me to be here. I had my friend take pictures of my face and other places where there were bruises from Luke hitting me. I decided to make sure he pays for the nightmare he had made me go through. I knew that the evidence I gathered would strengthen my case and protect me from any potential harm. With the support of my friend, I hired a lawyer and sent Luke the divorce papers. I was determined to break free from the cycle of abuse and regain control over my life. The divorce papers were not only a legal step, but also a symbolic declaration of my independence. As I awaited Luke's response, I focused on healing and rebuilding my self-esteem, knowing that justice would be served in due time. I felt empowered to take a stand against the abuse and fight for my rights, thanks to all the support I received from all of you guys. The love I received has helped me take such a big step without any doubts and negativity. I am grateful for the encouragement and belief that has been instilled in me, which has given me the strength to pursue a brighter future. With each passing day, I am reminded that I am not alone in this journey and that I have a network of unwavering support behind me. Update 2. It had been a month since I sent the divorce papers to Luke. I was getting anxious as I did not hear back from Luke. I couldn't help but wonder if he had received the papers or if he was intentionally avoiding responding. The uncertainty was weighing heavily on my mind, making it difficult to focus on anything else. I started looking out for work, but I wasn't able to land a decent job because I did not have the qualifications and the experience to be hired by a company. I did not give up and wanted to be independent and take charge of my life. I decided to enroll in some online courses and acquire the necessary skills to improve my job prospects. It was a challenging journey, but I was determined to prove myself and create a better future for myself. As I focused on my personal growth, I hoped that Luke would eventually respond to the divorce papers, allowing me to move forward with my life. I was taking up management lessons for better job prospects when I saw Luke and Liam leaving the building from a hotel. I hid myself in the crowd, as I did not want to be seen by Luke in the middle of the divorce. I was also working part-time as a barista to make up for my monthly expenses. I couldn't live with my friend forever. I would have to at least compensate for the groceries and any other personal things that I needed for myself. I was working in the cafe as usual after my classes. A man walked in for a coffee and told me that I looked too pretty to be a barista. I thanked him for the compliment and told him that I would get him his coffee to his table. He was working on his laptop and looked dressed up for a meeting. I took his coffee to him and saw that he worked for a company that I was eyeing to give an interview for. I took my chances and told him that I would be completing my management diploma soon, and I would really be interested in working with his company. He seemed intrigued and asked me about my experience and qualifications. I confidently shared my relevant skills and explained how my management diploma would be a valuable asset to the company. He nodded approvingly and mentioned that they were actually looking to hire someone with my background. He offered to pass along my resume and put in a good word for me to the hiring manager. Grateful for the unexpected opportunity, I thanked him sincerely and exchanged contact information, hopeful for a potential job opportunity. He called me the next day for an interview at his office. I was elated and wore my best professional clothes and went for the interview. I walked into his office and greeted him. He hired me without asking too many questions and did not even bother about me not having any previous experience. It was a little weird, but I decided to not think too much about it and go ahead with it. He told me that my job would be to assist him with his scheduling and day-to-day activities, which was more like a personal assistant. He just wanted someone attractive for this job and did not care about the experience. I thought for a while and said that as long as I have a decent pay, it was better to take the job than keep working my ass off as a part-time barista. I started working for my new boss, Damon, since a week ago. Luke responded to the divorce papers by filing adultery from my end. I submitted documents of him physically and mentally abusing me with evidence. I knew that Luke's story had no proof, and he was only trying to stretch this for as long as he could. I made it very clear that I do not need anything from him apart from the divorce. My lawyer assured me that things would be in my favor and I had nothing to worry about. I was grateful that my life was finally getting back on track both financially and mentally. I was to accompany Damon to one of his meetings, where I saw Luke as one of the people attending the meeting. I froze for a few seconds and even wanted to leave as I did not want to face him, but then I thought that I am going to face this bastard and look him in the eye. I would never, ever run away from him or be scared of him. I walked with an air of confidence and stood beside Damon. I focused on taking notes, which was my job. After the meeting, Luke walked to Damon and told me if he could talk to me in private for 5 minutes. Damon agreed, and I had no choice but to talk to him. We moved to an area with no one around. I was hoping for him to apologize to me. To my dismay, he said that he always knew that I would take advantage of my beauty to manipulate men for my advantage. I was taken aback by Luke's accusation, as it was completely untrue and very unfair. I calmly defended myself, explaining that my success was a result of hard work and intelligence, not manipulation or deceit. It was disheartening to realize that Luke had such a bad perception of me, but I remained composed and determined to prove him wrong. I decided that there was no point in making Luke realize that it was my hard work that got me here. Why the hell am I even trying to prove my innocence to Luke? We were in the middle of getting a divorce, and there was no reason for me to make him believe me. On the contrary, he was the one who actually made out in front of me with another girl. He was the one who should be sorry for his actions. Why should I even spend a single minute talking to him? I told him that I had nothing else to say to him, and if he had something, then he could contact my lawyer. I knew this irked him to the core, but that is what gave me satisfaction. I was no longer the submissive, low-confident woman who was head over heels in love with Luke and who would agree to do anything he asked of. After 2 months of denial from Luke, I finally received my divorce papers. I felt so light and free after such a long time. The weight of the past had finally been lifted off my shoulders, allowing me to breathe and move forward with a renewed sense of hope. I could now envision a brighter future ahead. It was a bittersweet moment, as I couldn't help but reflect on the lessons I learned and the personal growth achieved throughout this challenging journey. As I held the divorce papers in my hands, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. While there was a sense of relief and liberation, there was also a tinge of sadness for the end of a chapter in my life. However, I knew that this was a necessary step towards finding happiness and embracing new opportunities that awaited me. When I look back now, I feel like I wasted 10 years of my youth for a guy who married me just for my looks. He never loved me and made sure I remained his puppet for his entire life. I am slowly trying to pick up where I left. It is a difficult journey. Rebuilding my life after such a devastating experience requires immense strength and resilience. Despite the challenges, I am determined to reclaim my independence and find happiness on my own terms. Each step forward brings me closer to a future where I am no longer defined by someone else's actions or expectations. I want to show Luke that I don't need a man to provide for me. The immense hatred I have towards him is a constant motivation for me to strive and do better in life. I would like to thank you all for your support throughout my journey so far. You guys and your positive comments have helped me turn my life around for the better. I would always be grateful to all of your love and concern for my well-being. Your encouragement and kind words have truly made a difference in my life. With your support, I have been able to overcome obstacles and achieve things I never thought were possible. I am excited to continue sharing my progress with all of you and hope to inspire others along the way. Thank you once again for being there for me, and here's to a future filled with even more positivity and success. I would keep you updated with hopefully more positive stuff coming my way.